Hi everybody, it's me again, Heather. Welcome to Rye Crafting, my channel. Today, we're talking about quilts again. I'm on my rolling desk chair, so I just rolled over to the couch to get this guy. Okay, back to quilts. So, you saw me make, over the course of the summer, my big yellow birdling quilt, which is out being quilted at the long armor at this moment. I'll show you that when it comes back. And then I have to do the binding. Gross. So I was really in a quilt headspace, quilt frame of mind this summer. And then I suddenly started thinking, Halloween quilt. And it just stayed a little idea in my head for a while. And then I saw an Instagram post. And it's Instagram that is my downfall, because that's what made me impulsively purchase all that fabric and the pattern for the birdling quilt. Then I saw another, in the middle of working on the birdling quilt, I saw another Instagram post that pushed my Halloween quilt ideas over the edge, off the cliff, and I just fell down this deep dark rabbit hole of Halloween fabric, which you might be able to see behind me there, sitting on the bookcase. It's been sitting there since July-ish, when I started buying all the Halloween fabric. So my idea is not my idea at all. I saw an Instagram post by Quiltcakes. So Quiltcakes is a quilt pattern designer, and she was making one of her, I think, older patterns. It wasn't a new release, called the Gigi square, in all this scrappy Halloween fabric. And now the samples of the quilt show like a nice background fabric and then color fabrics for certain blocks. But the way she did her Halloween version, the scrappy one, was designating, I think it was what is the background in the pattern, which I think is shown as white in the pattern, as black Halloweeny fabrics. And then all the other squares, which again in the pattern are like symmetrical, and these ones are blue, and these ones are this color, and it's all like nice and not scrappy at all. I mean, scrappy is so nice, but it's all like organized is the better word. And then that sort of all those other contrast colors are just scrappy, crazy, Halloween-ish, Halloweeny colored fabrics. And I loved it. Like, I saw this Instagram post, fell in love, and ordered a whole bunch of Halloween fabric. And I bought the pattern. So I'm essentially copying exactly what Quiltcakes did on Instagram. I've got those posts saved. I go back and look at them. And as I said, that tipped me over into crazy Halloween fabric buying. I went to some of my favorite online stores. I bought a bundle. I bought a big bundle. I bought a smaller bundle. Went to different fabric stores, bought other fabrics, bought some things individually. Went to a few fabric stores in person. Any fabric store I was near, I would look around, buy some either Halloween or Halloween-ish fabric. So some of the things I have are not necessarily Halloween, but they're the right colors, because I wanted obviously orange and black, but also like fuchsia, pink, and purple, and I love an acid green. And I was looking for fabrics, if they weren't necessarily Halloween, that could be kind of spooky or like kind of witchy, which I love. And I went through a period there where I bought and I bought and I bought, and they're all fat quarters. So, I mean, if you're not buying a bundle, if you're just buying a couple fat quarters, it seems cheap until you add them all up, until they all arrive, and you pile them all up on your bookcase, and you have to look at them every time you watch TV for the next 3 months. So eventually I did cut myself off. Like, I knew I had way too much. I had too many. I had too many even for the largest side of the Gigi quilt. And then I started planning. Now this is before I've cut into anything at all. While I'm still actively trying to sew the birdling quilt top together, I thought about the Gigi square Halloween quilt I want to make. And I thought, yes, I want to do that. But what could I do with the leftovers? So then I started planning a second Halloween quilt out of the leftovers of the first Halloween quilt that I hadn't even started. Why? Why do I do this? So the second Halloween quilt I'm planning for when I finish the first one is a woolly petals pattern, Ghost Party, which is adorable. The background, it's all squares, so it's all sort of kind of pixelated in a way. So the background is scrappy Halloween fabrics, and then there's little ghosts that look kind of like the Pac-Man ghosts, done in white or pale fabrics, or you can choose like whichever color you want your ghosts to be. And that's when I realized that I could, with all the fat quarters I bought that I'm going to show you, I could make, I think, the largest size of the Gigi Squares quilt. And then, with the leftovers of that Halloween stuff, plus the birdling leftovers, don't forget those, I can make the ghost party quilt too. So then my 500 square foot apartment will have 2 Halloween quilts at some future date, who knows when. So the birdling scraps are going to be great for this. So these are my birdling scraps, and I wouldn't use any of the solid yellows, but for those ghosts, I've got 2 different whites. And again, each ghost, like this whole quilt, is essentially like a grid. And so even though the ghosts, you could do your ghost solid white, you're still sewing together, I can't remember the measurement, but you're still sewing together squares to make the ghost. And you can do it in one fabric, or you can do it in scrappy fabrics. I, of course, want it to be scrappy. And some of my Halloween fabrics are white based, and I think that's what the ghost would be, like white background. And I wasn't certain I would have enough until I remembered all these scraps. But I've got the 2 different whites, I've got some of the creamy and white based fabrics that I was using in the birdling quilt. I can cut those up into squares to use as part of the ghost and mix that in with my Halloween white fabrics. And so I think that will be amazing. As I said, I was in a bit of a sewing slump for the last month or so with the PJs that I talked about in my last video. But I loved looking at all these Halloween fabrics, and I really wanted to cut into them, although I forced myself to wait until after the PJ fabrics were done, or until after the PJs were done. I also wanted to film this video before I started cutting into things and making them messy, because right now they're all just beautiful fat quarters. There are a few that are not fat quarters. I bought half yards of a couple things that I thought would be sort of useful to like stretch things out. Because I made, as I said, I made many orders, because I bought a big bunch of Halloween fabrics, and then I would go looking at other stores and go, oh, I don't have that one, don't have this one, don't have that one. Oh, that one's sold out. I wonder if I can find that somewhere else. I'm not just going to buy one fat quarter from one online store. I'm going to buy a bunch of them. So one of the stores I ordered from, I'll put a link of all the stores down below. At this point, I can't remember what I bought where, although I suppose I do have all those email receipts. One store was more focused on bag making, and they would not actually cut if you ordered a quarter yard, or I can't remember if they were in yards or meters. If you ordered a quarter, they would not cut it as a fat quarter. You would get a quarter yard strip. One of the other stores I ordered from said that they would cut quarter increments as fat quarters where requested. And I swear I requested that, but then when it all arrived, it was all cut into the quarter length strips. It's not the worst thing in the world, especially as this is a scrappy project. Some of these I think I'll be trying to fussy cut out certain things, so it's not the worst that some of them are fat quarters and some of them are just a regular quarter, yard/meter, unknown. Probably a mix of them. And I think now it's time to show you all, time to move the fabric from the bookcase to here and show you everything, because I love it. Here it all is. It's so much. There were a few weeks there where I could not control myself. It's definitely excessive. It definitely went on my credit card. I should not have done it, but I've done it now. And I'm not going to have to buy fabric to make a quilt again for a number of years. So as you can see, I have, even though I bought some of these as bundles, as I said, some were individual as well, I have split the bundles up because I wanted to stack them by color. So we've got the white-based ones, the orangey and slightly yellow ones, greens, pinky purples, and then the black ones. And actually, I think I'm going to zoom you guys in more on the fabric, because that's more interesting than me. Okay, the fabrics. So out of the non-black ones, there's 37 fat quarters. Actually, I don't think I've counted the black ones. I don't know. Okay, so there's 37 of the colorful ones, 18 of the black ones. I'm pretty sure this on the top here is a half yard, not a quarter. And in addition to all these, there were also these three that didn't quite fit into any of the categories, and these were also ones that I'd bought half yards of. Oh yeah. So I want to quickly show you all of these because I kind of want that record for me. I'm not going to remember which bundles which ones are bundled together unless it's obvious, and where I got what. As I said, in the notes below, I will list out what stores I bought them from, and I'll go through my email receipts and try and put in as much as I can what I bought. And so, as I said, divided them into color blocks. These 3 didn't really fit. They were larger pieces, and I wanted to cut into something the other night. I wanted to cut some little tiny squares, and so I started on these pieces. This one was little ghosties. This is a Witchy. I have a whole Witchy mushroom quilt planned, and I had originally, I think, picked this out of the Halloween bundle and put it in the mushroom quilt because there are some mushrooms in here, but then I pulled it out because it's ghosts. The other one isn't spooky. I just remembered I have a pumpkin fabric in that box for the mushroom quilt. I bought 1 pumpkin. I need to get the pumpkins out. The pumpkins need to go in here. So, little ghosties. This is a blue background. I didn't really know which, again, these are ones I didn't know what category to put them in, so they were just hanging out on the table, which is why they're the ones I tacked first. This is some Tula Pink that I bought this in person at Len's Mill in Toronto. They had some great Tula Pink stuff. They had some of her Halloween ones as well. I bought this because it's snakes, and I honestly find snakes terrifying. So even pretty like lime green, turquoise polka dot ones. So I thought it'd be good for Halloween quilt. And it's a good collection of colors. I couldn't decide for a while if this is a black fabric, because everything else with a black background I put into the black category. When you hold this up against the black ones, it does look like kind of a really dark brown, and it's got really bright colors, so I think I will be using it as a color versus a black fabric in the quilt. This, again, was a half yard I bought. It's just a nice sort of deep tealy blue with moons and stars. That's a lot of what I tried to go for in the non-Halloween fabrics I was buying was, as I said, vaguely witchy, because I like that. Moons and stars, mushrooms, plants in the right colors. There isn't really anything else like this color in this quilt collection, but I think that will add something fun. And just so you can see that I did start cutting, but I just cut into these 3. I'm gonna need a bigger container, but this is what I started. So for the Gigi square, for my colored part, there are 2 sizes of square I need. When I cut out the black, there are 2 sizes of square and a rectangle size that I will be cutting out of the black ones. And so with the little ghosts, I tried to fussy cut. So I got a pretty good ghost on each one. And then with the snake, that one's just got a snake head. There's other ones, but then on the larger square, I could get more of the larger squares, I could get more of the snake. So like that one has a good the head of the snake and the curve of his body. And so this is going to be a very slow project. It's always slow for me. But I think especially the cutting out is going to be quite slow, because a lot of these I'm going to want to, if not necessarily fussy cut squares out of the middle of the fabric, I'm going to try and be quite aware of like where if I am cutting out a 2.5-inch strip to then cut into squares, I might not cut just like 2.5-inch squares all the way out of it. I'll be trying to like center things that I want. Although of course, because I'm trying to get 2 quilts out of all this, I don't want to be too picky. So there's going to be a balance there. It's not something where I'll be piling up a few different fabrics and then just cutting them all into the right size at once. I'm going to do this one by one. I know it sounds inefficient, but part of what I like about quilting is that it is slow, or like you can make it slow. When I see patterns sometimes, or like Instagram posts of like quilt in a day. I don't want to make a quilt in a day. I want it to take months. That's the point of a quilt project for me. So yeah, so those are Gigi square size squares. I had some little leftovers. I think I need to get a series of containers. Actually, I have. They're up there they're up there. Those white containers, because that's my kitchen. Those are clean takeout containers that I'm going to turn into labeled quilt square containers, because I can't remember what these are for now. I think these might be part of the ghost quilt. I had a few other little randomy shapes left over, which will just go into my scrap bin for the long-term scrap quilt I'm also working on. If I ever finish all these quilts and I'm still in this apartment is going to be like 50% quilt. Do you want to come up for the fun part? You come here? It's after dinner time, which is normally snuggle time. But you're just going to have to snuggle here, not on the couch. I'm so sorry. Green is my favorite color. Somehow it's also the smallest pile in my Halloween quilt stuff. But oh well. I love an acid green, an apple green. So much fun. So we have, again, I'm not going to do names of fabrics at this point because that'd just be way too long a video. If you have a question, if you really want to know what one of them is, let me know in the comments and I can go through all my receipts and figure it out. So this one, so much fun. Got bats and snakes and frogs, but they're kind of cute. Most of these are going to be kind of cute. Like I tried to go some spooky. As I said, like for me, snakes are spooky, but it's mostly going to be cute. This was definitely from a bundle. I have this, like it's just green with this little star pattern. I have this in a few colors, which I think will be a great, like, solid to complement all the crazy patterns. Or should just give your eye a break from all the crazy patterns. This is not Halloween themed. It's sort of like green bandana fabric that I thought would go well and add a nice lighter green. This is all from one bundle. I think this is the biggest bundle I bought. But it's like little creepy frogs and mushrooms. This goes with that. That's more frogs and cats and cauldrons and moons. This was not Halloween, but I love a mushroom. One day, I'll tell you about all the plans for my mushroom quilt. I actually filmed that and then never posted it. I've been thinking about editing that up, but it was like 2 years ago, so we'll see. But anyway, green mushrooms, very cute. And then this is just a darker green, sort of sketchy flowers and leaves. Just so I could have some more greens in there, because I love a green. Next, orange and a couple yellows. This was a fat quarter I bought years and years ago, used up in various scrappy quilt projects. I went through my scrap box to see if I had anything that would go with any of these piles. I didn't have much actually, but I had this yellow. It matches, very cute. This I think is from a line called Tiny Frights. It came in a few colors. I bought this in person at the workroom in Toronto before they moved. It's one of the creepier ones actually because there's like a worm coming out of that skull. So that's like a proper mustardy yellow. Everything else in this pile is more orangey. This, again, was not Halloween, but I thought it was a fun pale orange and like moon and leaves. This again, moon and leaves in another shade of orange. Actually, a fair number of my orange fabrics are not actually Halloween. This is just Orange Star. I think I bought this separately. I don't think that was part of any of the bundles. Again, that was just something I thought would be nice. It's called Woodland Keeper. It's an art gallery fabrics. Now we're at Halloween. Little skeleton on orange. Very fun. Then we've got, I love this one. Like I forgot about this one. Like skulls and pumpkins on orange branches. Here's that same like twinkle fabric that I showed you the green one of. This one I think I saw in someone else's Halloween quilt on Instagram and thought, I don't know why keyholes are creepy, but maybe it's like the old Victorian house, haunted house aesthetic. But I thought that would go great in a Halloween quilt, and I found this also at the workroom. See, I remember the ones I bought in person. I remember where those were bought. And then this, again, was from one of the many online stores. Just Halloween words. That's all my oranges. Let's do the white ones. This is not meant to be spooky, but I thought it seemed kind of ghosty. And again, it's got all these sort of various blouse outlines, and some of them are kind of, again, Victorian haunted house. Here's the reverse of that word fabric. Orange writing, white background. The other one was orange with white writing. Little witches' hats. So cute. Here's another one that came in the bundle with those frogs. A creepy skull with mushrooms and moss growing on it. I love these. Little vampire lips. And the drip is like a really hot pink instead of red. This one is actually cute. Cats, Halloween-y cats. I think this was part of a bundle because this also matches this, which is all sort of potion bottles. Again, this is something I would want to make sure I'm cutting cutting the right size square out of to get like a full bottle, and then maybe parts of other ones. Because this size square, like this size square is pretty big. So you get some good real estate on some of them. The interesting thing about the Gigi square quilt is I think like you're cutting out these squares, but then you do when I read it through, this was a while ago, it seems like you do a fair amount of trimming. Like in some places you are sewing on a square into the block, but then it eventually gets trimmed down to a triangle. So I think I'm going to end up with a lot of scrappy bits. Okay, back to this. Cats in hats, very cute. This feels and looks like it might have gone with those vampire lips, but I'm not certain. More potions from a different line. And then this, again, that same twinkle fabric, but this time it's white with black stars. That is all the white and cream based things. Now we get onto the biggest pile, which is the purples and pinks. Pink and purple bats. And I don't know if the camera's going to catch it right, but these little dots, these gray dots, are actually silver metallic, which is fun. This one, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's cotton and steel. I bought that one at Len's Mill in person. Here's another one that you can tell went with those vampire lips, because that's the same type of drawing, but this one's sort of pinky orangey, and it's got a crystal ball and more potions and bones and mushrooms. Sweet little flowery ghost. It says boo. Could look like just a nice floral, but there's some spiders and there's some spider webs. But otherwise it seems very sweet and pink. It's interesting going through all these quilting cottons because you can definitely feel the difference. Like some are finer than others, which is fine. I'm still going to sew them all together. It'll be fine. This one, I think I bought pumpkins, bats, hats. At one point I was worried I wouldn't find enough. Do not have that. I do not actually have that problem. This is a fun fuchsia, very tiny bats. This will be a good one to cut the smaller squares out of. It won't just be a tiny chunk of a big thing. I think that's a low volume fabric. Okay, maybe it's not low volume if it's fuchsia, but the pattern is low volume. I love these ghosts. Just plain white ghosts on pink. I love this one. See, like this one is not a fat quarter. This is only this wide by width of fabric. So this is one of the ones that came as a strip. And this is an art gallery fabric from Sweet and Spookier line, which has like all these witchy boots and brooms and cauldrons. That makes me think the Vampire Lips one might be art gallery fabric as well, because I feel like those two match well enough that they go together. I think this is the last of the sparkle fabric. It's not actually metallic or sparkly, but the little stars make me think of like the sparkle emoji. This is not Halloween, but it's the right colors, and this is a Tulip Pink. It's got raccoons in it. I live in Toronto. We have many raccoons. So I thought it would just be fun to incorporate a few of the raccoons into the quilt. And again, I'll make sure I cut around the raccoons. This spooky little owls, which I think is very cute. And then this is another Tulip Pink that I bought at Len's Mill, which just sort of looks like a floral, but again, there's little bits of spider web in the florals, and a little skull and crossbones, if you look close enough. This was another one where I wasn't sure to include it with the black fabrics or with the color fabrics. It is a dark brown, the background, and I chose to put it with the purples because like these flowers are a pale sort of lilac-y color, and I think it will do better as one of the patterns versus one of the black ones because it's so solid, like it's so patterned over. So that's all my colorful Halloween fabrics. Let's have a look at the black ones. So these I'll be treating as one color. Like when I make these squares, I'm essentially going to have two colors. There's going to be black, and there's going to be other, and that's it, and everything else. And it will be just all scrappy. I'm not going to make sure I balance a purple here in this top right with the purple in the lower left. It's just going to be crazy, crazy. These are the other scraps I found when going through my scrap basket. And I bought these when I was making masks because I thought it'd be funny to have a mask with masks on it. They're just like the little superhero eyes. I didn't have anything big enough to cut the big square out of, but this is the rectangle that you need in the background fabric. And then that's the little square. This is another metallic. These are gold moons and clouds. This I have a half yard of. because I thought it would be a great filler to go in my background. This is just spider web with a few little tiny purple and orange accents. This is not Halloween, but it's just fun ferns on a dark background and adds into that nice mossy green that goes with all that frog bundle. Here is some orange bats on black. Here we have some more orange bats on black, but different. Slightly less saturated black, and this one has some white stars. Yeah, white stars. Actually, that's the same little sort of sparkle shape. This one I also bought when I thought I wouldn't find enough of the background Halloween-y fabrics. This is just various plants in white on a very, very saturated black background. Again, I'm so happy. Like, I love my birdling quilt, but that stuff was all meant to go together. I have had so much fun putting together all these, like, mixed up from different companies, different designers, different lines. I've been loving putting this collection together. This again, like Halloween fabrics and non-Halloween fabrics. This one is plants on black, but in a really dark teal blue, so depending on the light, you can barely see the pattern. Candies. I think these are the first candies in my Halloween quilt. But yeah, more potions. Again, fun acid green pink. Again, I'm pretty sure this was part of a bundle because it seems to match, or seems to go with a lot of them. Pumpkins in orange and pink. Another floral. I think this might be the same as that pink floral I showed you earlier with the spider webs. Only this one's on a black background. We've got skeletons and little trick-or-treater in a witch costume. Again, I think that's part of a bundle because that looks like the same ghost as those fuchsia ghosts. Fun purple pumpkins. Snails, because why not? These were part of the frog bundle. I'll still use them, why not? Halloween snails. Maybe they go in the potions. Then there's this one, again, I think from the same bundle. And again, this one's sort of potion ingredients. You've got a frog, mushroom, antler, feather, the snail, again, tombstones. Very fun. Oh yeah, dearly departed, loving memory. Again, those will be fun to fussy cut around to make sure you get a good tombstone. Classic skull and crossbones. Black and white, can't go wrong with classic like that. And then this sort of spooky, mushroomy, snaky bell jar skull. Fun. That's everything. Well, that's not quite everything. I'm gonna go get something. I'm gonna get 2 more things. Conan, entertain the people while I'm gone. So, all these quilt squares, they'll need a backing, which I've not thought about. They will also need sashing to go in between the quilt squares. Quiltcakes, whose quilt I love so much on Instagram, have used a white fabric. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to use for mine. But then I saw this fabric and knew I had to do my sashing in this. It's plain black, nice deep dark black. These little eyeballs. And the eyeballs glow in the dark. So that's going to be the sashing between my crazy scrappy Halloween quilt blocks. Not going to have to think about that for a long time, because I am under no impression that this quilt is going to be anything near Halloween this year, because it's the middle of September. I'm going away for 2 weeks in October. It's going to be a work in progress for at least a year. This eye fabric is Ruby Star Society. Can't remember how much I bought, but there's a few meters here for the sashing, because I think I'm planning on doing the largest of the Gigi square quilt. Now for the funny thing. I ordered this from Thread Count Fabrics. That's where I got the bundle with the frogs and a bunch of other things. I can't remember which individuals. I was looking for more black fabric to buy a larger chunk of, because at the time I didn't think I had too many black fabrics to use as my background, and I was looking for a few things that I could buy big chunks of. That's why I have a chunk of the one with the gold moons on it. But I thought I wanted something that was really skeleton-y and Halloween-y to buy a couple meters of to like stretch out my background fabric. And I found this on Thread Count Fabrics website, and I thought, that's amazing. Little skeletons, got little orange eyes, there's little bones everywhere. Can certainly get a lot of mileage out of that. I obviously didn't read the online listing at all, because this is a knit. Like, this is a t-shirt knit. So I think I'm gonna have to wash this and make myself a shirt to wear, because you can't put a knit in a quilt. Or at least not a quilt that is full of wovens. This is an art gallery fabric. The Sweet and Spookier line, which I'm pretty sure I have some of these, a bunch of these are the Sweet and Spookier line. I just didn't realize any of them ever came in knit, which is why I guess I didn't really read when I was buying stuff. Luckily, because I wanted a dark color for more background fabric, I do have enough here to make a shirt my size. Because imagine if I had just ordered like a quarter yard or a half yard of a knit. I guess you could make scary underwear. But yeah, that was my oops moment when I opened that box. Yeah, so those are my Halloween quilt plans. Multiple plans for multiple quilts. Way too much fabric. I will say though, once I cut myself off from the Halloween fabric, once it had all arrived and I piled it all together, which was probably about mid-July, I haven't bought fabric since. And that's like a couple months, because I really need to tone it down. But I'm so excited about this. I'm really excited to have finally filmed this video. So when I feel like it in an evening, I can just pick a couple of these and start cutting them apart. I think I'm going to do some math. For the Gigi quilt pattern has basically all the combinations you need. It gives you so much information about if you want to do it in just a few colors, cut these strips and subcut them into this. But there's also scrappy instructions. So I think at one point it says exactly how many of this size square do you need to make the small, the medium, the large, the queen size. So I think I'm going to do some math on that and divide by my 37 different main colors to see exactly how many I need of each. I know I'm going to have more than enough for both these quilts, especially once I add in the scraps from the birdling. I love having a long-term project. Maybe that's why I've been knitting less, because I've been having these quilt projects, and the long-term quilt project sort of takes the place of the long-term sweater project. But I'm very happy. I'm just so happy. There's something about quilting fabrics and like collecting them that's the same thing for me as highlighters and Sharpies and Post-it notes. I just like having collections of pretty colored things, but I'm excited to turn it into something. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little Halloween quilt preview. I'll give you updates as we go along, but this is not going to be a concerted effort to finish it like it was with the birdling. So you'll be seeing this on and off for a while, I think. Let me know down below what you think about all the fabrics. Any of them scare you? I tried not to go too scary because I'm a bit of a wimp myself. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think, and if you have any Halloween sewing plans of your own. So thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you can, that'd be great, and we'll see you next time.